just seems like every time I hear him talk, he doesn't say much about the economy at all. He calls affordability a hoax.
9 of 12 voters who remain undecided in Georgia and Iowa's Senate races say they are more economically anxious now than they were when President Trump was reinaugurated. 7 say President Trump is not focused enough on improving the economy. And 11 of the 12 say the state of the economy will be a big consideration in how they vote in November. Let's start with those in Iowa.
Flat
Okay.
out said on camera he does not care about it. He does not care that we're paying $4 a gallon or over. He does not care that we're paying more for groceries. He doesn't care. It's not a priority.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough focus there. Seems to me that if someone who was wanting to care about, if someone really cared about the economy would be thinking about just the prices, the average person opportunity. I don't know if that's much of the things that he's talking about.
And it's not like it's unusual from a politician, but those are pretty big deals to promise and then not fulfill those promises.
And here are some in Georgia.
I think the president's more concerned about himself. I think the people behind him are trying to work on ways to improve the economy, but the person in front is not.
Those who have real big businesses and corporations, what he's doing in his self-interest better works for them and himself.
Yeah, I think he's definitely looking out for his friends and relationships and keeping those strong and not thinking about the people. And I think he will just grandstand and act like or pretend or portray that everything is great, everything is perfect, when it's not.
Among these 6 independents, 5 Republicans, and 1 Democrat, there's a lot of economic anxiety.
Everything is more expensive now. Everything is inflated. A lot of people who are in the lower economy are struggling more than they have before. And, I don't think that's a good thing.
Going to the grocery store, trying to buy groceries, trying to pay for gas.
Even my utilities have gone up tremendously since last summer, and I don't know what's next. Like, what else can I do to lower the cost or make more money? Like, I feel like I'm doing so much. So what else can I do?
Unpredictability. Because of current events and political intervention, there's no telling what tomorrow may bring, financially, or whether there's some kind of international dispute or so forth. So I would say unpredictability makes me more anxious.
Prices of things going up faster than wages.
Yeah, I'd be concerned with prices, tariffs just making things more expensive.
4 of the 12 had to give up something they liked because they could no longer afford it.
Orange juice, that I used to buy that very regularly. It is $8 a gallon now. And I had a really nice gym membership at like a boutique gym, which I loved going to, but I couldn't justify the cost anymore.
Just generally going out to restaurants on a regular basis, shopping for clothes and shoes on a regular basis, those kinds of things.
It was an expensive laptop, which I could have kept it, but yeah. So recently I had an issue in regards to finances because I normally work multiple gigs and I had only had one at the time. So in order for me to make up for rent, utilities, and other bills, I had to sell that item that I had to make up for it.
Our music streaming service, we've cut out a couple of our platform streamings just because you got to balance what you can afford. We don't eat out anymore at all. I used to be able to get my nails done. Haven't been able to do that in almost 2 years.
8 of the 12 own stocks, bonds, or mutual funds. They're glad the markets are performing well, but that still doesn't seem to be relieving their overall economic anxiety. So the stock market is flirting with an all-time high. For those who have those investments, how does that make you feel? Give me a word or a phrase to describe how that makes you feel.
Just the stocks, happy, but that's not everything. I mean, that's me tomorrow. That's not me today.
What does that mean, Jennifer?
Basically, I'm not living. I'm making a ridiculous amount of money. That's for sure, but I can't spend that. It is just in stocks, and this is just mutual funds, and it's for the future.
I would say optimistic but cautious. I mean, obviously, I want the stock market to do well, and that means that the economy is doing well. But at the same time, I'm not close to retirement age by any means, so I know that the market is going to fluctuate a lot between now and then. So I'll kind of be more concerned about it, maybe 30 years from now.
I'm nervous. I've watched my portfolio go up and then go almost to nothing. So I'm really nervous, especially with the economy, the trending and everything is all over the place. So I don't feel great, but I don't feel bad either. I just kind of feel what will happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel grateful that I have some money invested in that way and am able to get some gains that way. But it also shows me that the way it's working is for, mine are minor investments, but the people who really have a lot of money are the ones that are making it well in this stock market.
These Iowa and Georgia voters remain undecided in their states' respective Senate races, mostly because they feel as though they're not familiar enough with one or both candidates. 6 of the 12 say President Trump will be a factor in how they vote. None will vote deliberately for Republican candidates in support of President Trump. Only 1 will vote against Republicans to thwart President Trump. The other 5 explain it this way.
It'll go on a case-by-case basis, and I guess he would kind of be like the tiebreaker if I was undecided between who I was going to vote for, and I'd go with the Democrat then.
Okay, so he might influence how you vote in terms of voting against a Republican.
Yeah, he might, but it wouldn't be automatic.
Okay, so you're not like knee-jerk going in and voting for all Democrats because you're pissed at the president.
Right.
You have candidates X and candidates Y in a Senate race in Iowa. You've got how is President Trump affecting who you're going to vote for in that Iowa Senate race?
Realistically, if he is stumping for any candidate, that would concern me of why.
Okay, so if he's
and there have been races where he has, and typically those people have lost.
Okay, but in terms of, I'm asking only about your vote. Okay, so so just be clear. If he goes out in the stump and he comes to Iowa and he's supporting the Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate in Iowa, that's going to affect your vote?
Absolutely.
Okay. And you're going to vote against the Republican or for the Republican?
I would closely examine, but I would more than likely vote against them.
Yeah, I mean, I would I can count on one hand the number of Democrats that I voted for. I would consider voting for someone in the Democratic Senate race, probably more because of how just of what I've observed from the first 2 years of Trump's presidency than I would in the past.
Okay. Sarah, tell me how Trump affects the way you're going to vote in November.
So ultimately, I'm going to look at what they've supported as far as like what have they voted yes on, and do I feel like they have my best interest at heart? And because a lot of the stuff that Trump has backed and has pushed for, if they're voting yes for a lot of that, I'm likely not going to vote with them. And that goes with the Democrat as well, because we've had Democrats cross party lines as well. I'm going to look at their voting record, especially if I like one or the other, they're both going to get looked at.
Okay. Got it. But none of you describe this as automatically voting against Republicans in protest of President Trump. You're all sort of talking about how you're weighing how they voted and what they stand for. Does Trump campaign with them? So am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Got it. All right.
I mean, I took it as, just to make sure we're on the same page, when you say I'm going to flat out not vote for them because they're a Republican and they support Trump, I don't think that's a fair assessment, because not all Republicans support Trump and not all Democrats hate him. So I think you have to look at it a little bit more other than just going in blind, which I think is why a lot of us are not strictly Republicans or strictly Democrats.
And then there's Steve, with whom I had this 2-minute illuminating exchange.
So, Steve, tell me how President Trump's going to affect who you vote for this year.
He's not gonna really. Well, the only effect that I see is that he had good plans and stuff, probably had good intentions, but he just couldn't execute some stuff properly. So that makes me think if he can get in the office and not really execute the stuff that he said he was gonna do, then what's the next person in the office gonna do? Maybe he was influential to the
Wait,
next person in office.
Okay, hold on. We're not talking about the president. We have midterms coming up in November. So the
So,
election's in 3 months. Trump is not on the ballot. You got Senate race.
that's what I'm saying. He could be like his election that he was running for could influence the person that's on the ballot to do the same thing. It could be a whole chain of, well, I can just say a bunch of things and then not really execute it. So it's gonna make me think like if he can get away with it, somebody else can get away with it too. So I'm all about listening to both sides, and whoever is for the people, that's who I'm gonna vote for. So it's not about if I'm going to vote for a Republican in support of Trump, or am I going to vote for Democratic to punish Trump. It's about who has the better, who's for the people and who's not. That's who I'm going to vote for.
Got it. But how is Trump part of that thought process? What does he have to do with that at all?
Because he can, like I said, when he was running, he could be influencing the next runner up. He could influence them. So first of all, Trump got in office. He was already popular before being in office. Then he got in office and said he was going to do some stuff. He did do some stuff, but some of the stuff he just said it, but he executed it poorly.
Okay, but what does that have to do with candidate X running against candidate Y in the Senate race in your state?
That his run could have been his the bad qualities and traits can be influential to the people that are running. Like if they probably can think like if Trump can get away with it, I can too.
Apart from the economy, the only other issue that will be a big consideration in how these undecided voters vote is data centers, and that was in Georgia only. Among the 4 Georgians who say it is a big consideration, 3 are critical of data centers and 1 is supportive. Thank you for joining us. Please forward this link to a friend, and we'll see you again in October.